Claude Sports Corner here on a Friday, June the 3rd. NBA Finals. Well, Cavaliers, they didn't look so good. And it's sad. The reason I would be concerned if I were a LeBron slash Cavaliers fan, bottom line, Steph and Klay Thompson did nothing. 20 points combined, that's a disgrace. And they still lost handily. Not a good look. Especially when your bench is going to give you only 15 points. J.R. Smith needs to average at least 15 himself. Shumpert needs to give you at least 7 to 9 points. They did not do that. In fact, they were ridiculously bad. And if you remember, I said that was one of the keys, if not the key, to the series. How those two guys performed for Cleveland. Now, Shaun Livingston, talk about a feel-good story. 20 points. And let's face it, their length. I know they're happy that they beat OKC. Boy, I think OKC, I'm not shocked if they end up giving them more problems than Cleveland. Because, let's face it, Kevin Love defensively is an absolute disgrace. He is bad in the Steve Nash mold of defense. And if you remember, Steve Nash, for all the greatness that he had as a passer and as an offensive player, was probably the worst defensive point guard I've ever seen. Worst. And I'm telling you, Kevin Love is in the same ilk, too. He really is. He is so bad defensively. He's almost a tweener. He's not big enough to bang with the true fours, and he's too slow for the threes. So he's really, really bad. He gets exposed so bad. And he is a gifted offensive player. There's no doubt about that. I'm not knocking Love as a player, but his defensive or lack of defensive skills, that's just so bad. And that's why, if you notice, Draymond Green, much more active, had much more impact. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. Especially if Tristan Thompson's going to do absolutely jack shit, too. Let's face it. And that dirty Della Dumma, I'm sick of him. And it's amazing how, you know what, it's funny, and it lets you know that there is hints of racism in sports. It's funny how they always describe Dellavedova as a scrappy, hard-nosed player. He's dirty. Period, point blank. Dirty. He chopped this man in the nuts. And to be honest, I really thought it was inadvertent, but let's face it. There were a couple of times last season during the finals where he was giving chop blocks to players, for God's sake. LeBron, he was pretty decent. So was Kyrie. But I'm going to tell you what, Kyrie Irving has to step it up a little bit too, because it's funny. You can tell that the dynamic, between LeBron and Kyrie, not that good. I guess it's their styles clash because they both need to dominate the ball in order to be successful. And let's face it, Kyrie has to defer to LeBron. It's LeBron's team. It's his legacy, Cleveland. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on the game because it is only the first game. And I do feel that Cleveland will make it a series. I wouldn't be shocked if they won game 2. Or I know they'll put up a much better showing. They better. If they put up a big blowout, game 2, no improvement, then I don't see them having a shot at winning a series at all. They might scrape up 2 games, but they have to me, have a very good showing, if not win game 2. Now I'm going to focus on the Houston Rockets' great hire, and trust me, I'm being sarcastic, of one Mike D'Antoni. It's amazing how Mike D'Antoni, who was god-awful with the Lakers, can get another job. But meanwhile, Mark Jackson, who was the reason why the Golden State Warriors are in the finals and have become a championship team. I mean, my God, Steve Kerr was, he just stepped into it. Sort of like what John Gruden inherited with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Tony Dungy was fired. It's an absolute disgrace. So all of a sudden, Mike D'Antoni is better than Kevin McHale. You've got to be kidding me. Is he a great offensive mind? Absolutely. Talk about no defense. And I'm not going to say that's where Nash got it, because he wasn't any damn good in Dallas defensively. But I'm telling you, every Knick fan, every Phoenix fan, and my God, every Laker fan knows that Mike D'Antoni is the worst defensive coach probably of all time. Yeah, I'm going to say it. But he's good enough to get the job over Mark Jackson, a real coach. And that's just one example. I can think of many other examples. I mean, if you want to have a guy with the Houston Rocket legacy, I mean, why not Sam Cassell, who's on the bench with Doc Rivers in L.A.? And I'll throw out another name. What about Mario Elie, who's been with Greg Popovich? And he has a championship pedigree as well. And those are natural leaders. And to me, it would be part of Houston Rocket legacy as well. Both of those guys have 2 championships with the Houston Rockets. But they made their decision. Watch them lose 50 games next year. And trust me, they're going to get much worse whether Howard stays or not. And I have to be honest, Dwight Howard is one of the few guys that actually plays defense. Is he the same player? Absolutely not. But he's a much better defensive player than James Harden is. Not even close. Trevor Ariza, plays a little bit of defense too. But I just don't understand the hire. You cannot tell me that Mike D'Antoni is going to do a better job than what Bickerstaff has done. And remember, that team wasn't going anywhere anyway. But, hey, they don't care about winning. That's all there is to it. Now, the next segment, which I'll be filming probably later on, or if not tomorrow, because I have to dedicate a whole segment to the New York Knickerbockers. Because first off, I reside in New York City. And secondly, you talk about somebody robbing. I mean, my God. Phil Jackson is robbing the coffers of James Dolan. I mean, he has been abysmal in building this franchise. But that's for another day. This is Claude Sports Corner. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and God bless.